Welcome to Saturday's Warrior channel. We talk all things BYU, and this is another live edition as we come to you on Monday evening here. And with us, joining us tonight is Jason Shepard of BYU Sports Nation. He's on the call for all sorts of sports on this BYU sports channels and radio. And so obviously, I think everyone's familiar with Jason, so thank you so much for joining us to preview the BYU football team tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I think the last time that I joined you, I was on the road in Cincinnati.
I remember that.
Women's basketball. For many reasons, I will remember that trip. One of which is on the drive from Cincinnati to West Virginia, I got deathly ill. So like a day or two after I talked with you guys, I got sick and was like really sick for like 10 days. So like I will remember that trip for a long, long time.
Well, let's hope that it doesn't happen again. Otherwise, we might not get you back on.
We have a jinx going on.
No, it had nothing to do with you guys. I think I accidentally shared a smoothie with somebody who was sick.
That'll do it.
Yeah, you gotta watch out with those smoothies. So did COVID teach you nothing, Jason?
Well, funny story about that. It was me and one other person in the car, and we each had one. And I thought the one I reached for was mine.
The smoothie mix-up.
Yeah, and that's exactly how it happened. I don't know if that has anything to do with why I got sick, but I know right after that, within 24 hours, I was feeling pretty bad.
Well, hopefully you feel better this time. All right, as we mentioned tonight, we're going to preview BYU football for this upcoming season, take a little bit of a look at, at the team, how perhaps we've gotten better, maybe where we've taken a step back. Before we do that, if you're watching, please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and we really appreciate it. As we were mentioning here, I need to up my mic game like Jason, and so I need to be able to afford a mic. So if you like, subscribe, maybe one day I can do that, or at least take Adam out to lunch and thank him for joining me. But before we get started here, I just saw this right before we were hopping on, and saw this on the BYU football account. Is there a more likable player, either current or former, than Jay Swag here?
No, he will be the greatest personality in the history of BYU football. It won't get better. It won't. He will always be the pinnacle of personality for BYU football.
And it's not just a BYU thing. Everywhere he goes, whether it was with Detroit or in Green Bay or with New Orleans, everybody gravitates towards him. His personality is just one of the best. You want to be around him. He makes life just feel a lot better.
Yep.
We love him. All right. So before we get into the preview, I do want to take a quick look at some recruiting news. Adam will get us caught up on that real quick. Jason will not mention anything because we don't want to get him in trouble, because I'm sure all the authorities out there are watching this channel, monitoring Jason.
I will just be in the background for a second.
We'll put you on mute here. No.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, we've had two big recruits this week. Jax Tanner was one we'll get to in a minute. This is Adam Bywater, 3-star linebacker. For those of you who remember the amazing exploits of Ben Bywater, he's of that same bloodline. Ben's brother, Adam. Great name, great namesake coming to BYU. So a big get for the Cougars, and if he grows into anything like his brother will be, he's going to be fantastic at that linebacker slot. I mentioned. Oh, go ahead, Trevor.
I was just going to say it's amazing that Utah was even on the list, considering his connections, but that's all right.
Jax Tanner is a bear of an offensive lineman. I think he was a tough one. His recruitment came on a little late because he's in Idaho, where you're at, Trevor. Maybe you can drop by and say hi, cheer him on. Yes. But I think the level of competition he's facing led some scouts to break a little late on him. But boy, he's been hotly pursued as of late. Sounds like he'll be an excellent interior lineman. And this, again, is indicative of the same pattern we've seen in recruitment this season for BYU, where they are winning battles against really, really, really strong programs. I mean, he had P4 offers all over the place. He'll probably be a 4-star by the time signing day comes around. He's the type of recruit. I think of Andrew Gentry, who's on the team now, originally recruited to Virginia with Bronco, then goes to Michigan, wins a national title with them. That's kind of the path that a lot of these recruits would take in years past. And now they're signing with BYU. So huge get for BYU in getting Jax Tanner.
Awesome. Stoked about it. I mean, this class just keeps getting bigger and bigger and better too. And what's crazy is it's like, there's a list of names and you expect, okay, we'll get some of them we'll miss out on. But it really looks like BYU's. It just seems like they're landing.
They're cleaning house. I mean, this is a top 20 class already, and they just keep landing it again and again and again. I keep expecting us to lose some of these, but whatever happened on that major recruiting weekend was like magic fairy dust because everybody is jumping on board right now. I just hope we can keep them until we actually get them on campus and playing in a few years.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. You never feel completely settled anymore, especially. I mean, you never could before. Like things could always happen, especially with missions and a lot of things. But now with the way transferring is, I don't feel set until like I was with AJ DeBonce. I was like, until I saw him wearing BYU, I wasn't, out there on the practice court. I wasn't completely convinced. But okay, so one more topic I want to talk with you guys. I saw this today. This was from Kuz from Kuz's Corner. Had him on the show, met him at the West Virginia game. Great guy. If you want to look at some other Big 12 content, he does some great stuff. But I have to say, he put out this list today, Big 12 coaches ranked by who would win in a fight. I have to say, this is a big miss from
what
him.
In the world?
This is
what in the world? Has he done any research? I mean, just Kalani Sitake, just by throwing his weight around, is going to knock out half the guys on that list. Like, the dude is strong. Fullback in college, big guy. Like, come on.
I know he's nice, but you could see him getting fired up. Like,
you see the fire on the sidelines. I know he's nice, but man, you see him clap back at the ref at the Baylor game a couple years ago. I mean, that guy's got fire in him when he needs it.
Jason, I mean, you work out. You're a fit guy. Would you fight Kalani Sitake?
No. Okay. Now, in full disclosure, I'm not fighting any of these guys, even the guys that aren't that strong. But no, I'm not fighting. Him being 14th, that's more of a slap than BYU being 13th last year. You know what I mean? Come on. Look, I don't. At the end of the day, look, we know Kyle Whittingham. Like he's a tough guy. I honestly don't have a problem with Kyle being number one, but I have a big problem with Kalani being 14th because in my mind, if you're going to go with Kyle number one, Kalani's got to be number two. And that's not a state of Utah bias. I'm looking at this, and I honestly think if you ask these coaches, they would probably give you Kalani or Kyle 1 and 2.
Yeah. I think Kyle Whittingham's Cavs should be number one.
Rich Rod, though? Rich Rod?
I know
this point in his career, I mean, you could argue that when he was peak of his power at West Virginia, maybe. But right now, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if he can coach still or if he can fight.
I do know, and I think it was Bill Connolly who did one of these. And this may be a little tease for BYU Sports Nation tomorrow. Oh. Bill Connolly has Kalani number one.
Okay.
Bill Connolly knows what's up.
He knows what's up. Yeah, he knows what's going on.
Well, the other thing is like Deion Sanders, like that guy's an athlete. He's still fit. Like that's another guy I wouldn't mess with. And then Kenny Dillingham, like if you just give him a bad call on the sidelines, I could see him getting really upset. I don't know, really red face. Would you want to fight him in that moment?
Yeah. Again, I'm not fighting any of them, but Kalani 14th is a massive miss.
The other one that's wild to me is how is he number 5? I don't know.
This list is just, there's so many things wrong with this list.
There are. He really missed on this one, but
okay. All right. Enough of this. This is nonsense. Let's move on to the important things. So, Jason, let's talk about what we all came here to talk about and hear about is BYU this upcoming season. So one of the things why everybody was so stoked this offseason is we're bringing back a good portion of our production from last year on all sides of the ball. And, a lot of guys like Chase Roberts decided to come back. We have, this team that really performed well. We felt like they left a little bit on the table and they could take a step forward. Obviously, we've there's a little bit of a wrench thrown in that with the quarterback situation, but everyone's still feeling really good about this team. So I guess we'll get to the quarterback thing, but in a more general sense, this team that should look similar to last year, but obviously still some changes, brought in some new pieces to try to fill some holes and try to find some other areas where we could continue to improve. Coaching staff stays the same. So where do you see this team being different from last year's team? And in both, like, where do you expect that we'll see some improvement, but also where could we potentially see the team take a step back?
Yeah, look, I've talked a lot about how bullish I am on this offense. And the more I talked about it, the more sort of my internal monologue was telling myself, you're kind of making it sound like the quarterback doesn't matter. And that certainly wasn't my point, but I feel like the amount of offensive production that's coming back, and not just say 80% of it coming back, but when you look at the type of players, specifically guys like Chase Roberts and LJ Martin, and I think we are going to get back to seeing more tight end catches. We'll get to that in a second. But I think when you look at the weapons around whoever the quarterback is going to be, I think that lessens the load that the quarterback is going to have to shoulder. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not going to have to make plays, but look, you've got a guy in McKay Hillstead who has started games, obviously at Utah State. You've got Trayson Bourget, who started games at Western Michigan. They're no stranger to starting games. I think in this scenario that has played out, the fact that they were in this system last year, that they know the terminology, they know the scheme, they know the reads. Maybe they haven't gotten the reps to this point, but they're aware of this and have sort of been immersed in it for a full year. I think that really does help them sort of move into the offense a little bit more seamlessly. But so again, it doesn't mean that the quarterback doesn't matter, because we know it does. It's the most important position in all of sports. But I just think that the weapons around the quarterback here are so efficient and clutch that I think that's really going to help whoever gets the starting nod. You mentioned something else too, in terms of the coaching staff. The coaching staff is still there. Nothing has changed with the coaching staff. So it's another year with more of a foundation for these guys. And I think that's going to play a big, big role in this upcoming season. Certainly one of the things that I think that we're all excited to see, another year of Jay Hill as the defensive coordinator and what this defense can do, because boy, they have put the last couple of years so much film out there that shows it's not just a nice little stretch here or there, that this is what the BYU defense does now. And I love that side of the ball, even though you lose some big time seniors, especially in the secondary. I'm really excited about what this defense can do. I think once again, they can be, if the offense does struggle a little bit, we saw that last year, the defense was good enough to be able to help them. But in terms of like your top position groups, the stuff that I'm looking at, I expect a big year from the receivers. And I think that has a lot to do with Chase Roberts. I think he was so close last year, a little over 150 yards away from a 1,000-yard season. I think he can get there this year. I expect big things from Parker Kingston as a receiver. I think that's where he takes his biggest step forward, is as a receiver. We know what he can do as a returner. But I love the addition of Tiger Bachmeier. JoJo Phillips, I think, takes a step forward. So the receivers I'm really excited about. On the defensive side, really excited about some of the changes on the defensive line with Tanavasa coming in. Those are the two position groups that I'm looking at, that I'm looking to sort of take that next step, is the receivers and the defensive line.
So I agree. I think those are going to be strengths. On the flip side of that question, I feel like we're in blue goggles season right now, where boy, I can talk up any portion of the team.
Yeah.
But there's always a blind spot. Who do you see on either side of the ball, or maybe one from each side of the ball, where right now we're thinking, oh, we're going to be good, but maybe there's some cracks that we should have seen off season that we don't see now. What areas might struggle on each side of the ball?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a struggle, but it's an area that is going to need to show that it can step up like we've seen in the last couple of years, and that's probably the secondary, and specifically at the corners. I like the safety spot. Tanner Wall. I'm a huge fan of Tanner Wall and Raider DeMooney. I like, but you lost some really big defensive playmakers. Jackson Robinson, or Jacob Robinson, not Jackson Robinson, the basketball player. Jacob Robinson. So I think the corners is an area that is still has some room to show that they can still step up. On the offensive side, I don't know if it's necessarily, it's not that we don't, I guess you could probably, I'm looking at two positions, sort of hedging on either tight end, and it's only because we just haven't seen the tight end be utilized very much since really, if you think about it, Isaac Rex's freshman season, that was really the last time that there was a tight end that really had a really big year, it was a prominent part of the offense. So I guess you could maybe go tight ends, but the other position is maybe running back. And that's one of the things in the Big 12 that has become so evident is you've got to have a guy. And I love LJ Martin. I think LJ Martin can absolutely be that guy, but he has had some injuries. So it's the depth at running back, I think, that still probably needs to be ironed out. And I know you've got, Sione Moa and guys like that, but those are probably the two areas on offense. Not that I think that they're weaknesses, but I still think we need to see how that plays out.
Yeah, that's interesting. I would not have thought running back. And Trevor knows I am not a believer in the tight end hype until I actually see the ball in their hands a few times, because I feel like every season we're like, yes, tight ends this year, we've got it. And we just, for whatever reason, year after year, that we can't have a breakout season. It may be Carson Ryan may be the guy. I'd love to see that. But it's an interesting insight on the running backs. I would consider that one of our deeper positions, but you're right. If LJ gets injured and Sione Moa is a little unproven, he got banged up. Another name you probably aren't allowed to comment on yet is Hinckley Ropati. There's rumors that he's back with the program. And so that adds some good depth. But, if I don't know that he's that Big 12 starting caliber type guy. He's a great depth piece. So it'll be interesting to see how that comes about.
Yeah. How do you think, I mean, you kind of mentioned this, but the O-line with some, new pieces there, obviously a lot of talent, but some new pieces, do you think they're going to need a lot of time to gel, or do you think that that's something they really came together quickly last year?
Yeah. I'm at the point where, and this wasn't the case, 5-6 years ago, but I'm at the point now where I just expect the offensive line to be a strength of this team based off of a couple of things. Number one, the talent that's coming in, plus the guys that will now be stepping into more prominent roles on the O-line. They were backups. It's not like they haven't seen time. Jada is one of those guys that's going to see a lot more time. I know Hans Olsen was on BYU Sports Nation a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about him, how excited he is for him. A guy like Andrew Gentry coming in, and we know his pedigree and the places that he's been. Obviously, got a national championship with Michigan. So I'm not necessarily too worried about that. I think it's probably good that you have 3 winnable games right out of the gate. Certainly the first 2. Going to East Carolina is weird, but that doesn't mean BYU should absolutely still win that game. But I think you've got 3 games, and I think that goes for whoever the quarterback is too. That gives you 3 games to kind of ramp up before you get to Big 12 play. The other reason I'm really high on the offensive line is Coach Woods. I'm a believer in him. Number one, because of what I see, but I also get a chance to talk with these offensive linemen, and they trust him to infinity. They love him, and they go to battle for him. And he's one of those guys that gets it, and players play extremely hard for him. So that's one of the reasons why, it may take a couple of games because you are implementing some new guys there. But at the end of the day, I'm not worried about the offensive line.
What about we lose Keelan Marion, and the special teams is a big factor into BYU being in a lot of games, winning, of having complete games is how it was described all season, right? And putting the offense in short field positions, which will be even more important with an unproven quarterback, a new guy in the system. How do you think that affects us, and who will fill in? Will Parker Kingston take on that role? Or, I mean, heck, you could make a case for moving Isaiah Glasker into that role because, I mean, he shepherded, Parker all the way down in that K-State game, which we'll look at later today. But, how do you see that impacting special teams?
Yeah, I think that's still to be determined. Losing Keelan Marion and what he was able to do. I mean, you look at what he did and in the games that he was able to get a couple of touchdowns that way. They were key, and it is a loss. There's no doubt about it. Losing a guy like that's a loss. But I do think that BYU will figure that out. I do think Parker Kingston will play a bigger role in things like that. Who knows? Maybe you've got the McKenzie brothers that can do those types of things as well. That is, I think, one of the positions or jobs that we'll be looking at during fall camp specifically to see who gets some of those spots. But that one's sort of a TBD right now.
Yeah, I think there's probably guys, I'm hoping, but one thing that allows me to feel okay about that, yes, it still stings losing him, but that I feel like a lot of it was due to the coaching and scheme. Like you saw the whole team, it took that whole team effort. Yeah, you got a guy with speed and vision, but I feel like, there's something happening there, and that goes deeper than just one guy. And so I hope that somebody else can step in and fill that. We got a comment real quick here from Eli Mennett. Thanks for joining the show and chiming in. Says, I used to think the week 3 bye was ridiculous. Now it couldn't happen at a better time. What do you think about the week 3 bye, Jason?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, you don't want to have a bye too early, but the fact that you do get a bye before heading over the Rockies over to Boulder to take on a much different looking Colorado team. I don't think it's a bad thing. I still think you would rather have your bye later on, especially if you're going to deal with some injuries, because you've got you want to be able to be as fresh as you possibly can when the games matter the most. But who knows? The fact that, we're talking about breaking in a new quarterback, and so you've got 3 non-conference games, then you've got a bye. It essentially gives you 3 games and overall a month to have somebody up to speed to be ready to go to Colorado. So I don't think it's maybe with this year, maybe it's a good thing with this year's team with the situation that we're facing right now. But in general, I'd rather have it later.
Yeah, so I hate it only for personal reasons. So I'm in Virginia. I live in Virginia, and I'm on the East Coast. So I plan on going to the ECU game the week before. I'm in Utah for work, which means I'm in Utah during the bye week and the ECU game. And so I can't extend my trip and say, I'll get there early and I'll go catch a game, or I'll stay the next weekend, whatever, and catch one. So terrible timing for me. I was really excited to go to LES and catch a game. And then I was sort of looking at my calendar, figuring out. So for personal reasons, I hate it. But I think that's a great point. So you're just talking about the quarterbacks though. So why don't we shift on to that? What is your read on the situation in terms of who you think most likely will end up being QB1 and your case for that?
Yeah, and I'll preface my comments by saying this is strictly my opinion. This is not an educated guess because we have inside information on this. This BYU is what they've said, that it's going to be quarterback competition. That's 100% true. It's not lip service that they know who it is, but they don't want to tell people. They're going to let this play out in fall camp. So again, this is just my opinion. And I said this on BYU Sports Nation. My leader in the clubhouse would be McKay Hillstead for a couple of reasons. Really one main reason. I believe that because he is the more mobile quarterback between him and Trayson Bourget, I think that fits more into what A-Rod has wanted out of the quarterback position in recent years. So I think we saw some of the best games last year offensively were when there were some quarterback design runs and it just completely opened up the defense. We saw Jake able to run and really catch the defense off guard. We didn't see that so much in the year before the Final Four starts for him, but last year it became much more a part of things. Not that they were using it all the time, but they really used it as a weapon. As when we think this is could really go big, they used it and A lot of times it did. So for that reason, I think McKay Hillstead's probably the leader in the clubhouse going in, because I think A-Rod likes that aspect of having a guy that not only can throw the ball, and certainly McKay Hillstead can do that, but he also can make plays with his legs. So that's the reason I go that direction.
Yeah, I mean, Adam?
Well, I'll ask a follow-up about the quarterback situation. I think BYU is reticent to start a true freshman for good reasons. And I really think if you look back at past quarterback battles, they're going to start whoever wins out in practice. They're going to play decide. But if you put on your A-Rod hat and had to make a decision, is there any value in looking at it and saying, all right, we think Bear Bachmeier has the highest ceiling? I think everybody, that's kind of the general consensus, barring some failure in development, he's got a really high ceiling. If he is close to McKay Hillstead, right, or Trayson Bourget, maybe he's not quite at their level, but he's close. Do you think there's value in saying, you know what, the future's now, let's bring stability to this role that hasn't had any in 3 years, and we've got these 4 weeks where you've got 3 games plus a bye, gives him time to get acclimated to the offense before conference play starts. Is there any value in thinking in those terms of saying, look, he's close enough. Maybe he's not McKay Hillstead yet, but he's close enough where we're going to give him a shot and we're going to go all in on Bachmeier for the next 3 years?
I think there's value in that. I don't have a problem if it's Bear Bachmeier that wins out, because if he wins out, that means he was at least as good as the other guys, if not better. And look, if the ultimate plan is for Bear to be the starting quarterback in 26, if he's showing you enough that you feel you can win games with him this year, I would throw him in there. Look, we know the guy's smart. You don't go to Stanford and not be a smart guy. And I don't know if you guys, I'm trying to remember where I saw the picture. It's not one of the ones that was part of when he signed in his BYU uniform, but somebody had put out a picture the other day, and it looked like it may have just been on the practice field. That guy looks like a linebacker that you would not want to meet in a dark alley. That guy is so jacked. To think he is a quarterback is insane. So I'm not opposed to it if that's the way it goes. I just don't know, number one, if he can catch up to the other guys in terms of the playbook and understanding things. If he can, I'm for it. I just don't know how the coaching staff would view that, if they would be willing to make that choice right now.
Yeah, I think that's the best result coming out of fall camp, is if Bachmeier is the clear winner. Just because you got 3 years of a guy with that kind of a ceiling, I think it's very unlikely. I think it's likely that Hillstead wins this quarterback battle. One other question, and you can share all of your insider knowledge on this. Is there any chance Bear Bachmeier changes his number from 47 to a real quarterback number? And I may be the only fan that's bothered by this, but every time I see him in his uniform with number 47, I'm like, please don't run out there like a little league football team. Wear a quarterback number.
Look, I get it. I understand where you're coming from, but it's all about these guys feeling comfortable. If he's comfortable in 47, and that means he's going to win games wearing 47, by all means,
that's fair.
47.
That's fair. If you win the game, I can stomach the 47. I can.
Yes.
If we're out there getting beat up and sacked 9 times wearing 47, man, it just adds something to it. I don't know why.
Hey, it worked for Ziggy Ansah.
Yes, it did.
See?
Yes, it did. We've got a great history of 47s.
What I'm saying.
I don't know if this is the picture, but
That's the picture. That's it. That's the one. Look at that guy. He's a quarterback. First of all, the flowing locks may be as impressive as his physique. But can you imagine on a scramble, if you're like a safety or a corner trying to come up and tackle that guy? Good luck.
Yeah. He's aptly filling out his namesake there. He's, if you're going to name a kid Bear, you nailed it.
That's what I'm saying.
I always thought about that, but like Bronco Mendenhall and his kids' names, I was like, shoot, like, can you imagine my name was Breaker or something? Like it wouldn't fly. So
we just have normal names: Trevor, Adam, Jason. It's very, very mundane.
Well, and it's fitting. Yeah, I would not have fit as a Bear or a Breaker or something. But anyway, So follow up, I guess, about the QB situation. Since you're much closer to the program, like, what is your read on the players in the locker room at this point? I mean, I know they're not in practice yet, but on their feelings on the quarterback situation and how that impacts the team and how they're going to rally together.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be perfectly honest with you. We've not really had a chance to talk with, or at least I have not. Now, Spencer and Jerem were at the golf tournament. We're able to talk to them, but I mean, you heard most of the quotes that they're going to let everything play out with the quarterbacks. They have faith in the coaches and the talent that's there, and that they believe that the coaches will make the right decision. In terms of anything beyond that, I mean, I would be lying to you if I said that I've talked with them to find out. We just haven't had a whole lot of opportunity to talk with players during the offseason right now, especially right now, because this is the time where not only are we taking vacations, but a lot of the players are gone, and it's kind of a dead period in terms of being able to talk with guys. So, I mean, I know that sounds kind of like a cop-out answer, but I just haven't really talked to anybody since this whole situation kind of came to the forefront.
No, I appreciate the candor. Yeah, and I kind of assumed that was the case. I just wasn't sure if you'd had a sense of it. But
I know, and this kind of echoes what I've said before. There is confidence in this program about this team that the reason they were successful last year was because they had a really good team. And they have a really good team this year. And I believe they all have bought in to how good this team can be. So you can read into that whatever you want. I think they believe this team is just that, is a really good team.
Yeah, and there's no question that this team has an identity, it has a culture, and it has buy-in from the players, and you're seeing that leak into the recruits. We talked about what happened on that recruiting trip. Something's happening, but that culture is permeating through everything that this team does. And so I think you're right and onto something there. Having said that, I want to switch gears and ask you about some individuals now. So moving away from the team, just do some superlatives here. Who would you say in this next year, someone to watch as far as best newcomer to the team, or some newcomers to watch?
Okay, can I give you one on each side?
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to give you, and I didn't plan on this, and normally I would not give Utah this type of credit, but as it turns out, both came from Utah. And look, these are not like, out of the woods names. These are names people know. I'm going to go with, on offense, Carson Ryan, the tight end, and then Keanu Tanavasa on the defensive line. Those are guys two of the newcomers that I expect to make the biggest impact. And if you notice, you guys have followed sports long enough, and you've heard coaches' interviews. A lot of times coaches don't like when you say, hey, who stood out? Well, coaches don't like to talk about or single out guys. They want to talk more about the team. Kalani Sitake has mentioned Carson Ryan's name a lot, and I don't think that's by accident. I think he's very pleased to have Carson Ryan in this program, and it goes back to our discussion earlier about the tight end being more a part of it, and that we're hoping that it's more than just sort of the every year before the season. I think the tight ends are going to be back into it, that we may see more of that. And I think you don't bring in a guy like Ryan unless that's probably the case. And then Keanu Tanavasa, the guy's just an absolute animal. He is as soft-spoken as they come off the field, but on the field, I think he's gonna wreak some havoc. And I know there's been a complaint that the pressure from the defensive line has not resulted in sacks. I think we're going to see more sacks this year. And look, some of it more of it may come from the linebackers, but it may be because of the push by the defensive line. So those are the two guys, the two newcomers from Utah, that I think will make the biggest impact, especially right away.
How emotional is going to be that rivalry game with Tanavasa now, and the comments and the firestorm that everybody made about media days that I think was blown out of proportion, out of context, but still, right? I mean, the fans will take any bit. I mean, the fact that he commented at all about that was going to give them fodder for the locker room. But I mean, how is that going to go with Tanavasa in the trenches against that offensive line?
Yeah, well, the good news is it's in Provo. So at least you're going to have that part of it, that the majority of the people are going to be obviously cheering for Keanu. It's probably going to get nasty. It'll get chippy. That will absolutely be something that the broadcasters of that game will be paying very close attention to, because it could get very, very chippy. But again, good news is that's in Provo.
Can't wait. You mentioning Carson Ryan, that's another, I think, reason to look at McKay Hillstead, because by all accounts of everything I've read is that he's probably got the most touch on kind of layering some of those throws, maybe at multiple levels there with the offense, and that would obviously be advantageous to take advantage of the tight end there. But
and last year, and granted, just because Jake did it doesn't mean that, the other quarterbacks are. I mean, when you've got a guy like Chase Roberts, I would think any quarterback would be looking for him when he needed a big play. But the fact that, last year, those throws typically went Chase's way, and more times than not, he made the play. Being able to have a secondary option that you could go to in the clutch, and if it can be one of your tight ends, so your safety valves, just to have multiple options on a down where you got to pick up a first down to keep the drive going, I think that could be huge for BYU this year.
Awesome. Okay, so now who out of returning players do you think we'll see the biggest improvement, most improved player this season?
Okay, again, I'm going to do both sides. I mentioned him earlier. On offense, I'm going to go with Parker Kingston, and it's specifically as a receiver. I think he's going to have a big year catching the football. And I know, we know his speed. We know how fast he is. I'd love to see him, get one of those in with space and just let him turn on the afterburners and go. I'm expecting a big year in terms of receptions and yards for him. On the defensive side, I'm going to go with Siale Esera, the linebacker. The linebacker, we know the linebacker position is going to be excellent this year. And the fact that you've got, Jack Kelly and Isaiah Glasker back, that's huge. And then Siale Esera, I thought did an excellent job last year. And I know that the coaching staff are expecting him to take a big jump this year. So those are the two guys that I look at. I look at Parker Kingston as a receiver, and then Siale Esera at linebacker.
Would it be fair to put LJ Martin in that mix on offense if he stays healthy all year, eclipses the 1,000-yard mark? It feels like he's so talented, and when he's in, he has these strong games, but his injuries have prevented him from putting together a full season. Does he look like most improved if he can stay healthy all year?
Absolutely could be. Absolutely, yeah. And his talent has never been the issue. It's just his availability, and obviously he's not trying to get hurt. It's just unfortunate that he's missed as many games as he has, because you look at what BYU is able to do as an offense when he's in the game and the attention that he garners from the defense and when he's not there. So it's just night and day. So yeah, I absolutely think he would fall into that category. If he stays healthy and is able to do what we know he's capable of, it could be a huge year for LJ.
Question about Parker Kingston. In terms of stats, do you see him improving upon his stat from last year of how many times he threw up on camera?
Well, look, that may be one he may not want to improve on. He may actually want to regress on the vomiting.
Okay. All right. So potential regression in that area, but improvement.
So you're going over under at what, 1.5?
1.5.
Well, I don't think we're going to see that this year.
Maybe he's got to do punt and kick returns.
But hey, look,
receiver,
but if it comes after every touchdown, I'm for it.
That's right.
The touchdown's the important part.
Well, and the running 120 yards to get to the end zone. That's the kicker.
Oh man. All right. Well, I really appreciate it. Jason, I know you're a busy man. You got family obligations, things to do. So I appreciate you so much for coming on and joining us again. As always, we appreciate it. You're great to watch and very informative. So thank you so much. Where can go ahead and plug yourself, your work, and I'll make sure everything is in the comments down below.
Yeah, I'll actually be on BYU Sports Nation tomorrow and Wednesday. So Jerem and I will be on BYU Sports Nation tomorrow at 10 o'clock Mountain Time. So be able to see me there tomorrow. Yeah, you can follow me on social media. at JSN Shep on X. It's also at JSN Shep on Instagram. And you can see me on BYU TV and hear me on BYU Radio. I'm all over it. I'll be somewhere. I can promise you once we hit August.
Excellent. We look forward to it. We
Jason.
can't wait.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much. Take care.
See ya.
Man, Jason's awesome.
Yeah, he is. It's always good having him on.
Really good. Yeah, and I know it was kind of I hated asking him this time of year. I mean, summer's obviously best, but he's been on BYU Sports Nation a ton lately because of media days and stuff. And so I didn't want to ask him the same things that they've already discussed and just do the same things. But I think he always brings a lot and had a lot of new insights to share. So very awesome. All right. So let's quickly, we've been doing a segment going back and looking at all the games, the replayables, looking back at games from last season. Last week, we did the SIU and SMU games. This week, we got Wyoming and K-State queued up. And it's funny because a lot of things we talked about were actually things that I noticed from these games. And we got hit last week from playing the replays the whole time while we were on. So I won't do that, but I'll probably pull up a couple plays here as we talk about it quickly. Wyoming, there's not a ton to talk about, but just going into that game, just looking back, and I just remember, so I actually went on a couple shows, people talking Wyoming, and my prediction was BYU 34, Wyoming 10. And the final score was, it was 34, right? Whatever it was, I had BYU's final score right, and Wyoming I had 10 instead of 14, where it ended up being. And I don't know how I got that. I don't know why I was feeling so confident because we're coming off kind of a shaky week against SMU because we didn't know how good SMU was at the time. And but BYU still had some struggles. We still saw some struggles from Jake in this game, but we also saw a lot of what made Jake great and to give us hope in this game as well.
Yeah, and it was, I mean, it's so hard early in the season because you don't know. You don't know. SMU was coming off of a bad win at Nevada, and so it looked like we should have been able to handle it. And then we struggle at SMU, and you're like, well, it's a road game. Who knows? Our defense played great. You're trying to pull the positives out. And I felt pretty good going into Wyoming. Wyoming didn't seem like that strong of a team. But, boy, they really get up for this rivalry game. Like, this is I don't know that Wyoming – I don't know enough about the program to know who their traditional – year-over-year rival is, but whoever that is, BYU eclipses everyone in Wyoming's mind. There's so much hatred coming out of Laramie for the Cougars that will go on for generations, no matter how often we play there. So it was a big, big deal for those fans and for the football program for us to go out there, and you just worry that they're going to step up in a rivalry mindset and cause problems for you. And so that was my biggest worry. I felt like we'd be able to handle the game in a traditional environment, but if this was going to become a rivalry for them, then we might get overwhelmed and come in and just trying to handle things business as usual, and they're all emotional about it. So that was my biggest concern going in. Yeah,
I agree. You never know how we're going to respond. But like you said, it wasn't really a rivalry game for BYU, just kind of go in. But you saw what Wyoming did the previous year to, what was it, Texas Tech to start the season.
It was, yeah.
That did have me a little bit nervous and knew that anything could happen, obviously. And this BYU team still had a lot to prove. But I felt good about it, and we went in and just looking at my notes here, going back through it, is in the first quarter we see Retzlaff throw an interception basically on the goal line. It was intercepted on the goal line, and just like these costly turnovers, and which is but at other times, and we talked about this. Jason talked about this with the design QB run and stuff. And even other times when the play broke down, like Jake had a lot of head scratching moments, especially early in the season and the prior season, but he also showed that he had a feel for the game and he knew like when to go and how to find those holes and really take advantage of that. And this game showed that too. And so, part of, the love-hate relationship I think BYU fans had with Jake while he was here.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and I think you're also putting the full load of the running game on Jake's shoulders here. I think we were trying to go with
Martin was out.
No, Martin was out. Moa hadn't really broken out yet. That came in the next game, and so Moa didn't get a lot of touches. And I don't think Nawahine and Ropati was either injured going into this game or injured during the game. I mean, we were just beat up at the running back position, and so it was all Jake carrying the running game on his shoulders.
Well, and what I did love, you mentioned those guys, but we saw it kind of felt like a throwback game to maybe a couple years before, because we saw Keanu Hill get a touchdown, and we saw a big run. Or did he get to the touchdown too? Epps though had some plays.
Yeah, I think Epps got into the end zone.
It was a throwback to previous seasons. You kind of thought, oh yeah, these are our guys, and then they ended up having kind of quiet years. So it was good to going back and watch this game and see them get some action, because two guys that we love, and to see them have at least a game where they were getting quite some play and making impact. But
yeah, you talk about the plays that I remember from the game and or from any game, and that's the one that sticks out of my mind in Wyoming is the Keanu Hill touchdown, because it was so creative. To me, that was a really well drawn up play. It's a delayed release by Hill, and he comes across the middle and just wide open. No one's touching him. I mean, he ran untouched like 30 yards into the end zone.
Here, let me see. I didn't have that one time stamped. Here, let me see if I can. Oh, here, I found the replay. Let me pull that up here. I think this is at least close to it. So if I can share my screen in time. Okay, we just missed it. Sorry. Sorry. Here we go. Let's do the setup here for this play.
So he blocks, releases, gets it on the 20, and it's just green filled in front of him. And that's what I thought the tight end position was going to be. This is why I'm so skeptical, is this exact play. It felt like they had this. Mata Avataase had a couple touchdowns that were just so beautifully drawn up for the tight end. And then in these clutch moments against Kansas or late in the season, where was the tight end? I'm like, where's a play like this? This is, great play. And anyway, it was fun to watch some of these. Again, Jake in the running game.
Yep, there we talked about that. Look at that. He knows right where to go.
Yeah, and I think this is where the offensive line really started to assert themselves. It was, they did great against SIU. Oh, I love that one. Was that?
Yeah, that was what.
Is that Epps? Yeah.
And he managed to stay up and get in the end zone there.
He was one of my favorites, man. When he was healthy before his injuries, I remember him against Notre Dame just running routes that left him wide open again and again.
Too bad he retired. I don't know if there's health issues or what it was, but
yeah, it was to my knowledge, a medical retirement, and he was so awesome.
But that's too bad. He's always got a family at BYU, and I think everyone wishes him the best. So I'm moving forward here. I think we got in a second. I think this will be the game that everyone will remember, or the play everyone remembers most probably from this game. I know you mentioned Keanu Hill, but probably the one that most people have watched is right here with our boy Keelan Marion. And this is what we talked about with Jason is, who's going to fill this hole here. But
it's interesting. Papinga talked about it, and he almost threw some shade at Keelan Marion, which he didn't mean to do, but he basically said, like, look, it's the scheme. Okay. I did this at Virginia. I did this at Boise State. We had success at all three schools that I've been at where I've run this scheme. It's the scheme. I can put Parker back there. I can put Tiger back there. I can put Cody Hagan back there, and we're going to get results. Was basically his message. Spoken a little more tactfully than that, but he's the coach. He's got to be confident in it. And they mentioned a couple times earlier in the season where they talked about Marion saying, the hole was there. He didn't hit it. He didn't accelerate into it, which tells me it's not just the scheme. There's a learning curve to this. And so, whoever it is, Parker, Kingston, Tiger, Bachmeyer, whoever it is, has to read it and hit the hole for it to happen. Oh, I forgot about that play. That was beautiful.
What a catch. Yeah, that one's probably even more impressive play right there. Maybe you could argue like the best play, just that. I mean, that was just perfectly placed.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull this off before we get flagged again, but, perfectly placed. But, the one we'll always remember. Just punt and kick returns are just memorable when you go all the way up for a touchdown, especially when it had been so long for BYU. So that was really, and it kind of helped open up this game. Well, no, the game was already open up, but at this point it was just piling on and really kind of put BYU in a different position, but for the rest of the way. So it was a great game, fun to watch, good to have a comfortable win there after, the SMU game. But then we shift and we go to Kansas State the next week. tell me. Sorry, I got to switch screens here. Tell me, what was your mindset going into the K-State game? Because BYU's 3-0.
Yeah, 3-0. K-State's supposed to be the Big 12 champions at this point. I don't know if Utah had faltered, but I think Cam Rising was already injured, and so Oklahoma State was struggling. I mean, we were already seeing kind of the top echelon teams really struggle, and K-State was left, and so it looked like, all right, K-State's going to be the big dog in the conference this year. And I don't know if I'd call myself optimistic. I was excited for the game, but overall, I didn't think we'd pull it off. I wanted us to be close, to be honest. I wanted us to play it close and have a respectable game. That was my only hope going in, because I felt like their rushing attack was going to wear us down. And we could talk about the flow of the game, but that's the way it looked like it was going through the first quarter and a half. I thought they'd just slowly wear us down, and I just wanted us to keep in the game. I wanted Retzlaff to play a clean, strong game, not have any big mental errors they'd had against SMU and Wyoming. That was kind of it. That was the hope, is we could hang with him, and if we lost a tough one at home, I was okay with that. It felt like that represented the team taking a step forward and being able to go toe-to-toe with a team the caliber of Kansas State, or at least the caliber we thought they were.
Yeah, I'm with you. I was actually pretty nervous about this game. I thought just like the throwback jerseys, I just remember it gave me shades of Wisconsin coming to town with those throwback helmets that we wore.
Yeah, I remember that.
Just like, we're just asking for it, putting so much on this game. Was it homecoming as well?
Yeah.
And you've got this big show with it, and team's going to be hyped. You got this ranked team. I was pretty nervous about this game, but I would have been really happy going into halftime down 6-3, thinking, hey, we're hanging in there. We're slowing them down. Also, their offense is also not, getting a lot. And also watching back on this, I mean, there's going to be some special teams plays that we're going to talk about here and show, but they did it like in every phase of special teams, like just these punts and just being able to keep them backed up and keep them from being able to return it and keep them on the goal line. They had one that they, kept just outside of and put them. Oh, I just pulled it up here, but here, I'll go back just because I just mentioned it, but it's playing right here. But, just being able to, it's every phase of the special teams was in it and really helping this team gain momentum. And so, but yeah,
it's interesting. You don't think of special teams being that impactful. I know we all talk about it like it is, and all three phases of the game are important and complementary football, but it always feels like special teams is the least important of that. It's the special teams is the don't mess up team, right? And I think BYU has played that way for years. Right? Don't allow a big punt return. Don't allow a big kick return. You're not going to get a big punt return. Just don't mess up. Special teams. Make your kicks. Don't mess up. And this game felt like this announcement that BYU special teams was not about don't mess up. It was about making electric, game-changing plays again and again and again throughout the game. And it's almost like our special teams won the K-State game. I know our defense had a touchdown and they stopped a potent offense, and our offense delivered when they had the ball in the red zone. I mean, there were great phases of all the game, but you remember the special teams from K-State because it drove so much of that game.
Yeah. And we will get into that. Just like, sorry, Eli, you had another comment, and I completely missed you while we were talking Wyoming. He says all of the Wyoming analysts built that game up as a rivalry. That hatred of BYU was the ace in their sleeve. Such a satisfying win. Yeah, honestly, I mean, it's kind of where does it come from? The diss where it's like, I hate you, whatever, and then it's like, I don't even think about you. Oh, I think it was Mad Men or whatever. Not a show I watched, but I kind of feel like that's how it is with BYU and Wyoming. It's like, I don't even think about you. And so, yeah, they built it up to this big time rivalry. Me, I'm still like, oh, go Mountain West, guys. Good for you. Still fighting the fight.
I know. I'm cheering for Wyoming. If they do well when they beat Texas Tech, I'm like, oh, cool. Like, good for Laramie. Yeah. That's great. But, man, there's so much hatred there and so much history, I think, that even precedes our fandom that came up through the 70s and 80s and how those teams played each other. And so you see those guys, Barrelman in the stand, who was clearly present at those games in the 80s. There's so much hatred there. And the most I remember of Wyoming is the 96 WAC championship game where they almost beat us and we stole it from them. But man, I agree. Those analysts built it up like it was some huge thing for Wyoming. And I think it was to a certain degree. And BYU just went in there and handled their business like they should and didn't get caught up in any of the emotion and just played like the better team.
Yeah. And on the other side of things, it is kind of sad because it's a reminder of how all this realignment has kind of taken away a lot of these classic rivalries that we have. Having said that, I wouldn't trade playing Wyoming for being in the Big 12. So back to the Big 12 game. That's another thing. Big 12 game of the season. One thing that had me worried here early on too, and then we'll get to what we all want to talk about, is we saw a lot of this, big runs. It was another, BYU still can't stop mobile quarterbacks. Another big run there from him. So, that was a little bit nerve-wracking early on when you think, I know it's only 3-0, but, you feel like at any moment they could have a huge breakaway and really start.
I know. And it was such a tough offense to stop. They have so many different weapons on the ground. I don't know that Avery Johnson came away, delivering as he has the potential to in the passing game. He wasn't as advertised as a thrower, but the running game was so potent. I felt like when it was 6-3, they were just going to wear us down. And at this point, it felt like we were just going to lose momentum in the second half because they were just taking it to us in the run game. But credit to our secondary, they could not complete a pass.
Okay. No, yeah, absolutely. And again, it was another game where we kept no passing touchdowns. And Wyoming was that way. Both their touchdowns were rushing. And let's see here. I got another nice play here I wanted to show while it was up, but little handoff, flea flicker back, and kind of questionable, but man.
I do like that the flea flicker has become part of the standard offensive playbook. Like it's almost not even a trick play. It's so simple to run. It's a great way. It's just an extended play action where it really it has to draw in the safeties. And I think it does two things. It'll draw in the safeties and give you a chance to hit somebody over the top. And then in addition to that, it makes your safeties hesitate a half step when you do hand it off. And so I feel like it's just the next evolution in play action. BYU is not the only team that runs a flea flicker regularly, but it's a relatively safe trick play that seems to be pretty effective.
Absolutely. So at this point, like I said, we just thought, okay, BYU ends up getting a field goal on that drive. We think, all right, let's just hang in there, end the half. We're close. Like, we're still in this game. We got the home crowd. Like, we could do this if they're still struggling to pass the ball. And this is where the tide begins to turn here. Completely. And this is one of those, I was like, no, just jump on it. No, okay, yeah, pick it up. Okay, yeah. No, that's better. And so that was just a great, I mean, he hits him, his hat right on the ball, knocks it out. So that was a good play. And just, to be ready for it. And then there's really no stopping from that point. But it just snowballs. And you just watch this here. I mean, of all people, okay, so one of these next plays, I mean, just so much pressure on Avery Johnson. He's just having to get these off fast. Because you saw, I mean, Tyler Batty, of all people, come away with an interception. At that point, he knew something was happening. But
there was so much disruption in the backfield. And I know we took a lot of – the defense took a lot of heat for not getting home and getting the sacks. But, man, they caused so much disruption back there that you had quarterbacks like Avery Johnson and Noah Fafita and others who were just throwing the ball up, trying not to get crushed and throwing interceptions. And it happened again and again and again. And BYU creating that havoc caused a lot. BYU gets a lot of luck credited to them last year for their defensive performance. And I think it's misattributed because I think the defense and the havoc they created in the backfield and the confusion they caused those quarterbacks caused those interceptions time and time again.
Yeah, absolutely. It was by design. Jay Hill is havoc, and if you've seen that meme, but and another thing I want to give BYU credit for here on the other side of the ball, when we talk about complete game, defense did their part to get the ball turned over. Oh, and we mentioned Batty, but he had to get rid of that fast because someone's breathing down his neck. So there's pressure put on him, and then people are in the right place. Like, you don't get that many interceptions on accident. But then what I like here is you were looking at BYU, you're like, oh, you're in the final minute, like just run the ball, don't risk turning it over. And they go for it. they don't take their foot off the gas. They go for it.
Yeah,
And
second and 4, you run a flag route to the corner. I mean, it was beautiful.
At that point, it's just you're like BYU is taking advantage of those opportunities, and they did that a lot. I felt like throughout the season, they weren't just sitting back and watching. Like they took the opportunities that were given to them, and so we have a short field. Well, we're going to score with it. So,
and I do worry about that in the changing quarterback because I think part of that's Retzlaff's mentality. I think A-Rod's calling the plays, but Retzlaff is looking for that. He's pushing that. He's driving that downfield. And do you have someone, does McKay Hillstead or Trayson Bourget take those shots? Are they gutsy enough to take those shots? That's a gutsy pass. I mean, you shortchange that, and it's a pick six. And so, you got to put that on the money. And Retzlaff would always have the confidence to put. Now, he made plenty of mistakes, right? You got the flip side of that too. But I like that style of play. It's fun to watch.
Yeah. He definitely had moxie. Is that what Steve said about him? And no, he said he's a gunslinger. No, he said, all those words have been used to describe him. But anyway, actually, it was before this game. I think it was Arizona with the college game day. Anyway, so here now we're in the second half, and things just look like they keep going. Like BYU has all the momentum. The halftime didn't slow it down, and this ended up being ruled down. Is this I think they. Still K-State ball, but it just shows like, shoot, the pressure's getting to them. They almost coughed up another one. And then you get these plays here and
oh man,
I just can't watch this game enough.
That's where I felt like something's happening. The end of the half could be a fluke. K-State could come out and just dominate the second half on the ground like they did. But that interception to me said, all right, here we go. And then the Sione Moa, man.
Just keep pushing.
He had a couple runs that just announced his presence where you're just like, oh, okay, this guy's going to be special. And do you notice they set that up using the same play they used against Wyoming? So Epps runs out, calling for the ball, and that's the touchdown play he had against Wyoming. The whole defense sucks into him and allows Lassiter to break free. I mean,
okay. Here's this play. So
I forgot it was so early in the second half.
That's one of
those times where you're like, if they recovered the ball down there and get a touchdown, go for 2 and it's 24-14. It's a that's a close game.
Yeah, I mean, I want to comment on the previous one. Is BYU had several stops on short field, on short downs, or short yardage on like third down, fourth down, and they came up with stops. So you got to give credit to the defense. They did it in a lot of different ways. And they come up with the stop there, but it led to this. But I remember watching this. I went through, as I'm sure all BYU fans did, so many emotions. Because one, he coughs up, like he muffs the catch and drops it. Then it goes, instead of diving on it, he catches it off the bounce somehow, which I'm just like, okay, make the best. Almost trips over another guy. And like, there's just like so many things that could have gone wrong. And when it doesn't, and then it turns into a touchdown, that this is just something special has happened. It's like watching angels in the outfield. It's just like, none of this happened.
Well, and so many K-State players blocking themselves. I mean, it was crazy.
But yeah. And then look at Glasgow here. I mean, he's not even blocking ananymore. He's just
just escorting into the end zone, celebrating.
And he's going like half speed too. That's what I'm saying. Put Isaiah Glasgow out there for the returns. But are you not entertained? Yeah, absolutely. So it was quite a just a few minutes of actual. This was the thing.
He almost dropped it ahead of time. I mean, you can make the case. You can make the case that's loss of possession before he crosses the goal line. But I guess you can't blame the guy when he feels like he's already run 2 lengths of the field. He probably doesn't know where the goal line is anymore.
That would have made me so mad. That would have ruined a highlight play. And so that's obviously going to be the play of the game, the one that everyone remembers and goes back to over and over. I don't think it's the best play. I mean, like we just said, there's so many things that could have gone wrong. Like it was the most like miraculous. It was exciting, but there were so many like really, really good plays from this game. But yeah, this is going to be the one we always remember. And for me, is there some? I feel like there's something that comes after this. But for me, this was. We talked about this actually last time Jason he came on and we did awards for the games through the season, and we ranked who we voted on which game was our favorite of the season. I think both of you guys said Colorado perhaps, and for me it was this game because like at that moment is when I think BYU Nation like really started to believe in this team, and things really started to flip around, and like to have that kind of spotlight and those throwback uniforms and just like to win the way we did, like this was the best. And so I love this one. And hey, got some family on here. Carl saying thanks guys, thanks for watching and joining. So anyway, how about you? Like, does this, like watching this back, does that change your mind? Because you said Colorado, right?
Yeah. Well, I can't remember if I said Colorado or Utah. Those would be my top picks, and I think I'd still go with Utah because of the emotion of the rivalry game and how that ended. But boy, you could make a case for this one being the most exciting game of. I mean, the Utah game is always just like fraught with nerves and like terror that something's going to go wrong. And the K-State game was just pure joy. Like you couldn't believe what you were watching again and again and again. And the Sione Moa touchdown at the end where he injured himself but had an amazing touchdown run kind of put a cap on the whole night. And just this dominant performance against, again, the team that was supposed to be at that point in the season the Big 12 front runner. And BYU just runs over them. It the score wasn't even close by the end. So I loved it. I hope they bring back the drop shadow jerseys, give them the home jerseys this time. I was scared about the all whites as well, having flashbacks of playing in Seattle at Washington in '96. The only game we lose is in the all whites, and they bring back the all whites to exercise the demons, I guess, against K-State. Yeah, the uniforms were awesome. Every time I watched that, I'm like, man, we need those, and we need the home version of those. Maybe we can get a game against Texas at some point and wear them for Sarkisian.
Ooh, that we could have done that in the bowl game had things gone a little differently. But here's just an example. Some more great coverage. They just kick away from them. They know where it's going. They cover. They're not able to get that return. And then right here, we're looking at them on 4th down, and defense just gets another stop. They just don't relent. And
I mean, you look at that. You look at the cut from Avery Johnson there, and he has it. He should have a first down. He's super fast. He's super athletic. But the athleticism of Tyler Batty, Isaiah Glasker, the guys who were setting the edge there, didn't allow him to do it. It was amazing. And it was, to me, it was, I agree with you. This was the coming out party for the team to say, whoa, they're serious. They're going to bounce back in a serious way. This isn't just we started the season last year as I hope they go to a bowl game. I hope they get 6 wins. I don't know if they can do it, but I hope so. And this was sort of planting the flag to say, this isn't a 6-win team. We got something going on here.
Awesome. What an awesome game. So fun to do that. So next week, I guess we got up on the schedule at Baylor, and then I should have looked at this. We got the next 2 games, which we will think of and ready for you.
Was it OK State already, or was that later on? That was later on.
Or was it UCF after Baylor? I can't remember now.
Anyway.
But anyway, we'll get there, and we'll have the next 2 games for you next week, and some more live coverage or another live show. So make sure you like, subscribe, join us next week for the show. And thanks so much for watching. And as always, go Cougs.
Go Cougs.